Hello, and welcome to a short video that's going to help you make some choices about the courses you're going to study during your first year of engineering at the University of Queensland. Many students aren't sure which engineering specialisation they want to study. And our flexible first year allows you to do some courses related to a range of specialisations, and then you can choose your specialisation at the end of your first year of studies. Remember, you don't need to decide whether you want to do a major or a minor until the end of the second year of your program. If you already know which engineering specialisation you want to do, then you can focus your courses from your first year. An enrolment plan is provided for each of the 6 specialisations for those who have and who have not completed high school specialist mathematics or the equivalent. You'll also see that some specialisations have space for electives, and you will see some footnotes suggesting some courses that you may consider to use in these elective slots. So which courses do you need to study? Well, as we've discussed already, everyone will complete the 4 core courses that you can see on the screen there. You'll also need to complete some specialisation courses. And we've already spoken about Eng 1300, Eng 1500 and Eng 1700. Which one of these you choose to study will very much depend on the specialisation that you're interested in. If you're unsure, you're going to follow flexible first year. There are some limitations on studying all 3 of these engineering science courses, and we'll talk about that in a minute. But as you can see here, if you know that you're interested in chemical engineering, then you're going to study Eng 1500 and Chem 1100. If you haven't done high school chemistry, you're going to pick up Chem 1090. If you're interested in mechatronic engineering, for example, you need to study both Eng 1300 and Eng 1700. You can see there that for software engineering, Math 1061 and IPS 1200 can be taken in first year if you're absolutely certain that you're going to follow the software engineering specialisation. Alternatively, these courses can be completed in year 2. So please take a bit of time to have a look through this table so that you can see where you might be headed in terms of your choices for first year. So flexible first year doesn't mean you can do anything you like. There are still some careful choices that need to be made. All specialisations have space to allow for a total of 2 of Eng 1300, Eng 1500 or Eng 1700. If you want to do all 3, then in every specialisation except for mechanical engineering, one of these must then count as a general elective. Mechanical engineering is the only specialisation that requires all 3 of 1300, 1500 and 1700. The choices available to you will depend on which of the following groups you belong to and whether you want to keep the option of completing a major or a minor open. So the 4 groups to consider: you've completed specialist maths and have completed both high school physics and high school chemistry. You've completed specialist maths and have completed one of high school physics or high school chemistry. You have not completed specialist maths but have completed both of high school physics and high school chemistry. You've not completed specialist maths and have completed one of either high school physics or high school chemistry. It sounds a little bit complicated, but I think the next slide will help you understand. So, the questions to ask yourself: do you want to keep the option of a major and a minor open in year 3? If the answer is no, then you can complete all 3 of Eng 1300, Eng 1500 and Eng 1700 because the additional course will count in the engineering elective component or the general elective component. If you do want to keep the option of a major or a minor open, so the answer here is yes, then the next question is, have you completed at least 2 of specialist maths, high school physics, and high school chemistry? If the answer there is yes, then you can complete all 3 of Eng 1300, 1500 and 1700, and one of these courses will count as a general elective. If the answer is no, then we need to ask one more question. Are you going to complete the mechanical engineering specialisation? If the answer is no, then you can only complete 2 of Eng 1300, Eng 1500 or Eng 1700. And in the next slide will help you make some choices about which 2 you might choose. If you know that you're going to complete the mechanical engineering specialisation, then you can complete all 3. Typically, students will complete Eng 1500 and Eng 1700 in year 1. And then if they don't have room for Eng 1300 in first year, they'll delay completing that until year 2. So how do you decide which of these 3 engineering science courses you study? So we've got a little bit of advice here for you. If you're interested in chemical engineering, you know that you need to complete Eng 1500. But we'd also suggest that you consider completing Eng 1700 because that will make completing the biomedical and materials engineering majors in year 3 a little easier. If you're interested in civil engineering, then you need to complete Eng 1700, but for a second engineering science course, we'd recommend Eng 1500 because it makes taking the environmental engineering major a little easier in year 3. If you're interested in electrical engineering, you need to complete Eng 1300. And for your second course, we'd actually recommend Eng 1700 because it makes taking the biomedical engineering major in year 3 a little easier. Mechanical engineering requires all 3 courses, and as we've already said, you may need to complete Eng 1300 in year 2. Please come to an academic advising session and we'll help you plan your studies, particularly if you need to pick up specialist maths and a high school physics or chemistry. Mechatronic engineering requires both Eng 1300 and Eng 1700. And for software engineering, Eng 1300 is required. And if you want to keep other options open, then really the choice between Eng 1500 and Eng 1700 is up to you. Do one that is interesting to you. So your first semester of enrolment will probably look something like this. You'll do Eng 1100. If it's reached capacity, you could substitute with Eng 1001. You'll do one maths course, either Math 1050 or one of Math 1051 or Math 1071. You should pick at least one engineering science course, so one of Eng 1300, Eng 1500 or Eng 1700. And then in the final slot, think about what you might be intending to study. You may want to pick up Chem 1100 if you're interested in chemical engineering. You might want to pick up a high school catch-up physics or chemistry course. In many cases, the first semester, do things you're interested in. This will allow you to focus in second semester on making some choices. Most students will be able to follow our recommended enrolment plans, and these are linked in the description below. We do have drop-in advising sessions where we can help you make some choices and answer your questions. These advising sessions are organised before each semester and they're available both online and in person. If you've got any questions or concerns around your program, this is a great opportunity to ask them. For more information, scan the QR code on the presentation below and you'll find out the details of when these sessions will run. If you're still not sure and you do need some program advice, you can contact a first-year academic advisor. You can either use the QR code on the screen or see the link in the description box below. We look forward to seeing you on campus soon as you start your studies in engineering at the University of Queensland.